Can everybody see, or do we need someone, sometimes I can shut these lights off. Okay. And we got the calculator here. We'll be using the calculator. Oh, so I had you watch that little video, said that there were 3 measures of center, mean, or do the Nearpod, median, mode, and mid-range. And that talked about those. So now we're going to go right into an example. And my filled-in notes have more written there. Okay, we're going to go right into an example. These are our prices of room air conditioners in dollars. Let's find the following values. And this is a sample, and so we're going to use sample symbols. In that little PowerPoint on chapter 3, the Nearpod I asked you to look at had the symbols in it, but we'll talk about them as we go. So a mean, for a sample, we use the symbol X bar. X with a bar over it, and we say X bar. And that's going to be where we add all these together. A mean is just an average. We're going to add all the data values together and divide by how many there are. And then there's another 440 that you can't see written on this air conditioning guide. Okay. And there's 7 values, so we divide by 7. So if we put that in the calculator, that's an average. It's going to be 500 plus 840, and because I didn't use parentheses, I'm going to hit enter first, plus 470, plus 480, plus 420, plus 440, plus 440. All right, and I'm hit enter to get the answer because I didn't use parentheses, and then I hit divided by 7. And so the average X bar to 1 decimal, well, we're going to do 2 decimal places for dollars and cents. So it's 512.86. Okay, the median. To find the median by hand, we have to list. The median is just the middle data value, but it's not, the data has to be listed in order. So we're going to list it in order from smallest to largest and show you what the middle data value is. Oh, 470, 500. No, I got a 480, sorry. 480, 500, and 840. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The middle data value is 470. There's no symbol. So the median is $470. The median price, the middle value, if you list those in order, is 470. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so the 4th value is in the middle. The mode, the most repeated value. If there are no repeated values, there's no mode. If there's more than 1 repeated value, the same maximum, the same number of times, maximum number of times, then there could be more than 1 mode. We have 1 repeated value here, 440. So 440 is the mode, and there's no symbol. So the mode is 440. The mid-range. The mid-range is the maximum value plus the minimum value divided by 2. And it's rarely used because it's right in the middle. It's only dependent on 2 extreme values. So we rarely use the mid-range. But so for this one, that would be 840 plus 420, and then we divide that by 2. If you do that, you're going to get $630. And there's no symbol. 630, sorry. Add those together and divide by 2. All right, and now we want to talk about the 840. Do you notice how most of this data was really close together? The data was all in the 400s and 500s, and then also we have 840. So because the 840 is so far away from the rest of the data, it's a possible outlier. Later on, we'll go through a test for the outlier. But so we're going to see what would happen if we leave out the possible outlier of 840. What will happen to our measures of center? So up here, these are all measures of center. We got 630, we got 440, 470, and 512.86. And those are all measures of center, but they're kind of far apart. Let's see what happens if we leave off this gold-plated air conditioner or something. I don't know. Okay, but we're going to make a note that we're leaving it out, and we're going to find the same things again. So this time we're going to find it using the calculator. Well, we found the mean using the calculator. You can add these up and divide by how many there are. But we went through this the other day. You go to the calculator and you press Stat, and you choose number 1, Edit, and then Enter. Clear out the calculator, press Stat, and Enter. Now my lists already have something in them, so you can clear lists. Stat, Edit. So you need to know how to use the calculator, but to clear the list, I'll write it over here. An easy way, there's many ways to clear the list. There's calculator helps all over the place in D2L and StatLab, but to clear the list, press the up arrow, choose and get on top of list 1, and then press clear down arrow. So to clear the list, an easy way is to get on top of the list name, and then you press clear down arrow. It's just one way to clear the list, but it's pretty easy. Clear down arrow. You don't want to get on top of the list name and hit delete. That deletes your list. All of a sudden, oh, you can't see that. Let me just make this smaller. I was trying to make this, there it is. Okay, I deleted list 1 now. How do I get it back? I go to Stat, Setup Editor, and hit Enter, and Enter. It says done, and when I go back into my list, let's go back into my list, Stat, Edit, my list 1 is back. So if you ever accidentally delete a list, you go to Stat, Setup Editor, and hit Enter till it says done, and you'll go back and your list will be back. Okay? But if you're on top of the list name and you hit delete, you delete the list. If you're on top of the list name and you hit clear down arrow, you clear it out. Alright, so we'll type these in. 500, we're typing these in our list. 500, 470, 480, 420, 440, and 440. And then you make sure you typed them in right. Yeah, that's good. 500. Okay, second quit, get out of the list. Okay, and now here's how you do, I hit second mode, which is quit. I like to get out of the list and make sure my home screen is cleared. So, clear, I press clear. So here's how you find statistics on the calculator. You press the stat key again, arrow right once to calc, and then you're going to choose number one variable stat. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. You press stat key, then arrow right to calc, and choose number one variable stats. Now if you use list one, that's the default, and it's just a plain list, just one list of data, no frequencies in there, you can just hit enter. If you used a different list, you'll have to press second, whatever the list was. But list one's the default, so I pressed second one, it's okay to do that too. If you use list two, you'll have to press second two, but you don't really need to, if you use list one, it's the default. Don't have to press it. And so, our new mean, and we could have added these together and divided by 6. That's all the calculator did. But our new mean, and it's a sample data, so its X bar is 458.33. That's the mean. And then I have a detailed chapter 4 instructions. This is just the sum of the x's. We don't use that anymore. This is the sum of the x's squared. We don't use that either. S is the sample standard deviation. If you wanted the standard deviation, that's it. If this was a population, if this was population data, we'd use sigma. N is 6, so we had a sample size of 6. N is the sample size. We hit the down arrow, and we're going to see, this is called the 5-number summary. It's later on in chapter 3. The minimum, the first quartile, the median. So the median is shown here as 455. We could have found it by hand, but the calculator gives it to you if you would do one variable stats and then arrow down and see it. Median is 455. There's no symbol. The mode is not given on the calculator. You could sort your list, but we know the mode is still 440. There's two 440s. It's the most repeated value, data value. The mid-range is going to be the maximum data value plus the minimum divided by 2. And the calculator doesn't give you the mid-range either, but it does give you the max and the min down here. And if you put that in your calculator, that's $460. And so here, these are all measures of center. These are numbers that tell you the center of the data set. Chapter 1 was definitions. Chapter 2 was taking data and making charts with it. Chapter 3 is describing data with numbers. So we're describing the center of the data set with numbers, and these are all measures of center. And they're all a lot closer together. And so without the outlier, these were closer together. But which one changed the most? But we're going to exclude the mid-range because it's rarely used. So which one changed the most? Well, the mode stayed at 440. The median changed from 470 to 455. That's $15. But the mean changed by 50 something or 40 something. The mean changed the most out of those three. We're not going to we're rarely going to use the mid-range. So for of the three measures of center, so we're going to, this is rarely used. So, but my stat lab asked you to find it, but I won't. Well, I guess I do ask on some worksheets. You have to find it, but okay. So that's the mid-range. And outliers are numbers that in the data set that are far from the rest, and you know, so we're noting that it's a possible outlier and seeing what happens to our numbers when we delete it. And they all got closer together. They're really close together here. All these measures of center. So that's measures of center. Okay, what if we want to find, any questions? Does anybody, were you following along? Do you know how to put data in the list now? We did this the other day too. Okay. All right. And what if you have a frequency distribution? Well, if we have a frequency distribution, like the one shown here, it just seems so dark. We don't actually see the original data anymore. So what we're going to do is our statistics are going to be approximations because we don't have the actual data. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the class midpoint for the data values. So we know that we have 6 data values between 7 and 18. So we're going to find the class midpoint for 7 and 18. 7 plus 18 divided by 2. That's 25 divided by 2 is 12 and a half. And if you're looking at this frequency distribution table, can anybody tell me what the class width is? You're going to take any 2 consecutive lower class limits or any 2 consecutive upper class limits and subtract them. So the class width is 19 minus 7, or 12. Or you could do 90 minus 78. But the class width, since we don't have a list of data, we're not going to take the max minus the min and divide by the number of classes. We're going to subtract any 2 consecutive class limits. So the class width is 12. So we could add 19 plus 30 and divide by 2, but we could also just add the class width going down 24.5. So these are the midpoints: 36.5, 48.5, 60.5, 72.5, and 84.5. And we can check, like we could take the last one and make sure, did we make a mistake? We're going to add the 79 plus the 90. Enter, because I didn't use parentheses. Divide by 2. And yeah, so 84.5. So it's going to be easier to add the class width going down because the midpoints are also the class width apart. Okay? So now, so we could take our calculator we're gonna, since we don't have the original data, we're gonna use the midpoint. We know we have 6 data values. So if I started listing the data here, I could have 6 12.5. We're gonna use 12.5 for this first class, the midpoint, and since we had 6 data values, we would have 6 of those. And I could put this in my calculator like this, but there's a shortcut. And then there's 10 24.5, so 24.5, and I'd have 10 of those. And I'd have 13 of 36.5. And I'd have 8, and how much does this add up to? Let's total the frequencies, and we said to pretend that this is from a population, so we're going to use capital N as the population size, and this adds up to 50. We added up these frequencies, 6 plus 10 plus 13, we could do that in our calculator, we get 50. So there's a shortcut, but we actually have 50 data values. But instead of having to type 50 data values in our calculator will let us type in the frequencies in list 1. So we'll put the frequency, no, list 2. We want the midpoints in list 1 and the frequencies in list 2. And what the calculator will do, if you will then do one variable stats, and then instead of hitting enter, tell the calculator that you have data in list 1 and put a comma, list 2. Now, it depends what calculator you have. We have StatWizard calculators that I'll have to demonstrate too, but this tells your calculator that this is the frequencies and these are the midpoints. This is if you have a frequency distribution. We don't have the list of data. We're going to estimate these things, and we're going to use the midpoint for our x's. So you go into your calculator and press Stat Edit. Clear out list 1 and put in 12.5, 24.5, 36.5, 48.5, 60.5, 72.5, and 84.5. Arrow right and put in the frequencies. 6, 10, 13, 8, 5, 6, and 2. That way, we didn't have to put a whole list of 50 things. We want to put our x's in list 1 and our frequencies in list 2. And now we're going to hit second quit and do stat calc one variable stats, but don't hit enter. You have to hit second 1 for list 1, and then the commas above the 7 and second 2, and then you hit enter. Does anybody, did I go too fast on that? You need to help? Sure. Sure. Okay, do you want me to write more down on my paper like the commands? Okay, okay. All right, well, there it is. Let's do that again. So, again, to enter data, you press Stat and Edit, and you enter in, you put your midpoints in list 1 and your frequencies in list 2. And then you press Stat arrow right to calc, and then choose number 1. It's one variable statistics. And then you pick, then you have to press, I'll do it, second 1, comma, and second 2. So let's do that again. Does everybody have their data in the list? Then you press, I'm going to clear it up, stat, you arrow right to calc, you choose number 1, one variable stats, and now instead of hitting enter again here, you have to tell the calculator that you have 2 lists. If you just hit enter, it's going to think that you only have 7 data values. Did anybody hit enter here instead of second? You have to press second 1, comma is above the 7, second 2. If you use list 1 and list 2, and then press enter. Did you get 41.78? And did you get n is 50? You guys get that? Sure. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You've got a different calculator. Let me show you this. This is a stat wizard. Okay. And so they keep changing the calculator on me, so sorry.
I think that's why I got
Stat.
confused, because whenever I went to
Calc, one variable statistics,
it was the that.
and it goes to this. This is the stat wizard's on. What it's saying, it's asking, do you have a list of data? And you do, it's in list 1. Then it's asking for a frequency list. So we have,
Is that where you put
that's
this?
where you put list 2. You have to press
Okay.
second 2, and then you go down and you hit calculate, and you get the same stuff. So, if you don't have a frequency list, you leave that blank. But yours is actually telling you, kind of prompting you for what you need to put, instead of you having to remember what to put between the commas, and you don't have to put commas. So if you'd rather have that off, so it's exactly like what we're doing in class, but it kind of does prompt you for what goes in there. You can turn it off under mode. Does anybody want to see how to turn the stat wizard off? I mean, I can turn it back on if you want it on. Yeah, it's kind of, it's helpful. It's actually helpful. To turn the stat wizard off, and see, my calculator doesn't have the stat wizard, but you go into mode, and you go to the second page, I think, and turn stat wizard off. You'd hit enter to turn it off if it's on. But it is, the newer 84s have that. The stat wizard actually prompts you for what you want, and you don't have to put commas. Okay? So you need to make sure that n was 50. Because we have 50 data values. On the calculator, it will say small n equals 50. If you forget to put the second list in, it's going to think there's 7 data values, and it's going to tell you the mean is 48.5, the mode is 48.5. It's going to just take just take these and think there's 1 of each of these. No, we have 6 12.5s, 10 24.5, etc. So the mean, and we pretended this was a population, so we used population symbols. So the symbol for the population mean is mu. It looks like that. We say mu, like Pokemon or something. All right. Yeah. And it is 41.78. I don't know what units to put because this is doesn't have units, so we don't even know what this data is. All right, find the median. The median has no symbol, but if you arrow down, I have to do it again because I apparently, so stat, calc, one variable stat, second 1, comma, second 2. Arrow down to see the median, 36.5, or 36.5. Find the mode. The mode is the most repeated value. So if we had our data listed out like this, which data value was repeated the most?
It would be 36.5.
Right, and it's the data value. The mode is not 13, the mode is the data value that's repeated the most. 36.5 is the data value. So I'm just writing this data value, not frequency. Sometimes people will tell me the mode is 13. And it's the data value associated with the largest frequency. Okay, and then we're going to find the modal class. That's the class with the mode. These are the classes. It's 31 to 42. Okay, so that's measures of center, and there's a bunch of, symbols that I've been talking about a little as we go. If we're writing down a mean, we have to figure out if it's population data or sample data, and we'll use the correct symbol. All right, well, let's take a break.